Hey Kelly. So I've been on a bit of a walk today and finding new medicinals that I use. Forest medicine, right? Well, of late, it's been all over the news. I don't know if you've noticed, or you may have missed it. Let's have a proper look into this, shall we? So let's have a look here. Monkeys, well, chimps, they're using forest medicine, and the article basically says, you know, that it's changing the way that we look at medicine, and we could make new medicines if we just study the chimps long enough. Do we remember what happened to the shamans, the ones that had all the knowledge and the medicinal knowledge? Yeah, that happened clearly, didn't it? Big farms and stuff like that decided to take over, synthesize and make this stuff more sort of accessible to us, but not. They're in control of it. You don't know what you're putting into your system, or at least I don't anyway. But one of the main forest medicines that I use, I go over it a lot with you guys, and it's comfrey root. Now, this one's dried out. It's real hard. And I keep hold of that because comfrey root, if you have a look at ibuprofen gel, for instance, the activated ingredient inside that is 30% comfrey. Yeah. So when you've got pain, sprains, breaks and things like that, its traditional name was nip bone. There's a reason why people used it, and there's probably an even bigger reason why big farms use this in their medicine, because it works. You know, it works for me. It's worked in the past. It's worked for sprained wrists, bad fingers, hands. I had a fight with a tree once. But as soon as I rehydrate this, I can slice it into bits. Now this is Russian comfrey. Russian comfrey isn't like the common comfrey. It's actually invasive to the UK, allegedly. But it spreads for its roots. Whereas the common comfrey, that will spread, I think, that spreads via pollen, same as most other plants and things like that, right? But with this, I can rehydrate that, cut it up into segments, and then what I can do is plant them if I wanted to. But I don't. I always find fresh if it's about. Typically, you'll find it all over the UK, and it will be around like boggy sort of areas, water sources and stuff like that, riverways, yada yada. Disclaimer right here, never ingest it ever, and always do your own research. I've messed up once nearly on this, and it's not great if you mess it up. So always do your research, have a look at Collins Gems books, things like that. Look at Wild Food UK, Home is Where Your Heart Is, all those sorts of channels or things that can help you out. Make sure that whatever you're trying to identify, you know 110%, otherwise just leave it out. Another one of my favourites is obviously birch bark. Birch bark can be used as, well, all sorts of things. You can boil it up. You can use it as plaster casts to actually set bones in place. It's a wonderful thing. And you can do your birch taps, so you can get like your medicinal drinks. It's also a really good antiseptic and anti-inflammatory. And I didn't know this until recently, that it was a good anti-inflammatory. Obviously I'd used other things for that, so I was quite shocked to find that out. And I've read as well that it's got like it can be used for skin conditions and the onset of like certain cancerous cells or something. I don't know, look it up. It's brilliant by the sounds of it, you know. It's absolutely brilliant because it's got like a slow cell degeneration inside it. So my hopes are when I use it, it could help protect from the sun or help protect moles, skin complaints, so like eczema. Sometimes I get a bit of eczema between my fingers and that. So yeah, another good bit of forest medicine, right? Now, I'm looking for a tree that I use all the time, but I can't seem to find any at the moment. So I have found one. It's a tiny little one. So that means there's more around here. So you've got your key identifier, oak leaves. So now I found one, I need to find the mother tree because she won't be far, as obviously acorns don't fall that far from the tree. But that's not the saying, is it? Apples don't fall far from the tree. Because of the squirrel activity around here, there's bound to be transfer and they're going to be running away with it. So yeah, we'll just keep on down this track until I find one. And here we go. We found one. These are great. And obviously identifying them is nice and easy. They're oak trees. However, with an oak tree, it's always best that if you're going to use it, make sure it's over 10 years old. I found that to be the most beneficial for what I use it for. And this one still seems fairly young and small. You see the size of that? So I wouldn't like to mess around with this one. I'd always go for one that's slightly bigger, more mature. What do I use it for? Well, I use it for things like sickness and diarrhea. And what happens with that is because of its bitter astringency, basically, once you boil it and steep it for 10 minutes, when drinking it, it's a bit like cough medicine. It tastes like absolute, yeah, but it works, and it works within 15 minutes. So when you've got that sickness and the back end as well, yeah, it's a go-to fail-safe. I mean, we've used things like that Imodium, or we've used like the £6 stuff from the shops that you buy the pills, and you take that and still had it for days on end, sort of thing. Probably dodgy water, because this does what it does. Yeah, there's no real side effects from it either. It can make you a little bit bunged up, but it's an absolutely brilliant tree. A real good strong forest medicinal that I use all the time. Well, not all the time, but if I need it. Bracken root is absolutely brilliant. Use it in small doses. We've never really had to, but it's been known to be used, especially in past times, to deworm animals and humans. So when you've got that itchy bum, bracken root. Don't ask me for the method, because that's a secret, right? Now, I'm pretty sure you just boil it up, boil the root up, or crush the root, boil it up, the same way you do with the oak bark, you know. So, but always remember, do your own research. It's the best way. It keeps you safe, it keeps everyone else safe, right? Another great one that I use for upset stomach and stuff like that, the berries from the mountain ash. Yeah, they're really good. They help just to settle the stomach when they're in season, of course. It can be a hit and miss, because sometimes, now I've not noticed it too much, but sometimes birds will like to just go in and dive and attack it all. However, in some places we've noticed the birds and animals don't touch them. And I'm wondering if that is a case of they know when to get it for themselves and help their overall gut health out, right? If you use it a different way, let me know. Let us know down in the comments. Another one I absolutely love. Now, you remember when we were in Wales and I went to find a new camp spot? Well, at the time I was munching on some bilberries up on the mountain, and because the birds hadn't got to it yet, it was at a higher elevation. Bilberries, and they're a little bit like that, but they haven't got the berries on yet because the berries haven't come out. However, when I was using them, just munching away because they're a common edible, but they actually improve night vision. They improve night vision and the cardiovascular system. So because I've got blood clots and things like that, and all the people in my family have had heart issues, yeah, sorting out that cardiovascular system, or at least giving it a sort of head start, a little bit of a helping hand, bilberries all the way. Definitely for me. Absolutely love them. They're great. They taste a little bit like blueberries, but they're not astringent. They're lovely. They're absolutely brilliant. Obviously, being in Scotland and surrounded by all these Scots pine and that, really good. The sap on them is great for an antiseptic, and also it's a really good decongestant. Well, congestion, decongest. It just helps to settle my gut. It's not so much like the bramble leaves. It's a little bit like I'm just feeling a bit bunged up from a heavy meal. Not that we indulge in heavy meals, but when you get that indigestion and you just get that little uncomfortable sort of feel, yeah, it's brilliant for that. Absolutely brilliant. Well, much like the monkeys, I'll use ribwort plantain, and you can literally find it on the forest tracks and things like that. And this orangutan it tells you in the article, was it had a bad face and it was chewing up leaves to stick on its face to heal. You know, no one taught the orangutan that. No one taught the chimpanzees that. It's already there, but we got to turn to books. You know, we got to look at books and we got to study and things like that. But nature's got it sorted. Nature knows. Nature just knows what it's doing, doesn't it? It's absolutely crazy. We have to learn by reading books and lots of information online and things like that. But that's okay. It just means that we were out of touch with our ancestry roots, right? Monkeys and chimps and orangutans and all that lot, they do it great. They ain't got no Collins Gems book. But hey, it's one of those things. You know, if you know, you know, and if you don't, yeah. Same here with the English maple. It's really good. I'm starting to get dodgy eyes being out in all this bloody pollen. Nah, but I would use it if I had eye complaints. It's also really good for slowing down cancer growth, and it's not really talked about much, but again, it is another good one. Obviously, maple syrup, things like that, you know, they're all prime sort of things you should be putting into your body just for practicing good health and things like that. You know, keep yourself in tip-top shape, and you won't need any of these things. And if you do, and you're out in the wild, you're wild camping, anything like that, be sure to do your own research and make sure that you know 110% each time what you're getting, how to use it, how to apply it, and keep safe at all times. See, you might not think these things are in abundance, but you know, just looking here, you've got your English maple, you've got your birch, just there, just up there, an oak tree. You know, you've got all these sorts of things around, and obviously for the low-lying stuff like your plantain, your comfrey and things like that, just know what to look out for. It will become second nature eventually, especially if you're walking around with your ID books and things like that. You're going to have a far better time in understanding things and learning to grow as you go along. That it will benefit you more in the long run. It really will. Years of practice we've had, and it's just practice makes perfect. We don't have our books anymore. Not only that, is you've got apps that you can use. So you've got the Picture This app that will tell you roughly what it is, and then you've got like Wild Food UK, and you can go onto them and type it in. But at the end of the day, Google is your friend. You know, I know we all talk about this AI hype and everything else, but honestly, Google is your friend, and it will help. It will help. It will help to springboard with the book, with the online stuff and the practice, and always getting second opinions. It will always help. All of it helps. Knowledge is power, remember? The more you do it, the more you practice it, the better you'll get. But please just make sure, do your research and do it properly. We've been caught out a few times. It's not worth the aggro, honest. To go over what I've covered, I've done like oak bark, mountain ash, Russian and common comfrey, bracken root, pine. You know, we can keep going. I'll do more videos on it. But yeah, look them up, do your own research. Oh, don't forget the birch for the research, right? You can use the birch for paper too, so you can write yourself little messages on it, right? Yeah, actually, do you know, that's a good idea. Write down on it what it does. If you find birch bark lying around, could be a good little start, right? Anyway, Cully, I think I'm going to leave it for there, and got to go home. Tara's doing her art, and I've got to go and collect water, filter that, get that sorted for this afternoon for dinner, and yeah, it will be fun. Well, if you enjoyed this video today, give us a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and share us around for us. Until next time, happy hopping.